Welcome back to another episode of Marvel Friends After Work, a podcast that talks about anything and everything related to the MCU. I'm Casey, and my fellow hosts Nick and Joel. How are you guys doing today?
Good.
Living the dream.
Ready to talk about Loki finally after it's been like good.
Yes.
84 years.
84 years.
It's been 84 years. Yes, very excited to talk about Loki finale.
I'm very excited to hear your guys' thoughts on it. I have a feeling my experience and my thoughts might differ from your guys's, so I'm not sure. What was your overall impression of the episode comparatively? It's the last one of the season, so compared to the other episodes, what'd you just think without diving into the plot? What'd you guys think of the episode?
This episode compared to the rest of this season?
Yeah.
Right? I thought it did a really great job of just ending everything on a good note. Yeah. Still very confused, but I think it did a good job. Yeah.
It did do a good job of bringing a lot of the story kind of where it needed to go, but I thought the episode itself was quite lackluster, a little bit on the slower side. Maybe it's just because it's hard not to, but compared it to the season ending of Loki season 1, and it just did not hit the same way in any way, shape, or form. But we learned a lot of cool things. It does look like it's kind of catapulting the MCU, which is great, which is what we want. So I'm very excited to rewatch this after the next 3 years of Marvel projects. I think it'll be a lot cooler, especially this last episode. But for me, dud.
Oh no.
All over in the internet, everybody is it seems to be in agreement of this is the best thing Marvel has produced, has came out with. The MCU is back. Some people would say it's better than even season 1 was, better than the original saga. People are just extremely impressed with this. Did you guys feel the same way?
I don't think it was better than the first season, just because the first season left us with that awesome cliffhanger. But I do think it's just right below it. It's like Loki season 1, Loki season 2, and WandaVision are definitely in the top 3 for any of the shows.
Yeah, comparing Marvel TV shows, I was gonna say, never mind. It's just, I don't know. There's a lot of poo-poo to compare it to. So
yeah,
I mean, sure, yeah, it was a good show. And based off of the 7 Marvel TV shows we've gotten, it probably ranks in the top 3, maybe 4.
Is that it? 7?
I don't know. I just
it feels
threw that
more
off the top of my head. It's She-Hulk, Miss Marvel, WandaVision, Loki,
Moon Knight,
Hawkeye, Moon Knight,
Fatwas.
Okay, so 8, and I would probably put it in the top 4. So it's in the top half of them. That's good, I guess. But it was really confusing. This is a kind of a show for me specifically, maybe more so as a casual, that this is like a rewatch show. You have to now that you've seen how it ends, you can go back and rewatch and kind of look for things to pick up on. But it's hard to pick up on those things when you don't know how the show's going to end. So it's like one of those major rewatch shows, instead of on the moment watching it being this is amazing to me.
In this episode in particular, it was weird. It was the longest one. I think it was it the longest final for the show so far that came out for Disney Plus, I think is what I heard. Or at least it's one of the longest. It was 59 minutes. That's counting credits. But I kind of felt it was a split episode. We had kind of the speed, funny part in the beginning, and then we got more into serious, more conversation on the second half of the episode. Before, I have really deep thoughts about the second half and all the conversations and how it ended. But the first part was just a lot of fun. It was really funny. Joel, I think you kind of called it a week or 2 ago, saying that's probably how it was going to go. And you called it.
It was right after our podcast. I was like, wait, I think I got it. They're going to do that thing where he relives the same day, either Groundhog Day or Live, Die, Repeat. They all kind of do the same thing. You replay it until you get it right. And they started off with that, and then they went on a tangent, which I loved. They didn't just make it until he got it right. Then they're like, he got it right, and then he got to level 2.
That was great.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was funny, and I thought it was done well, because sometimes that stuff is boring to watch. They they just don't play it well in like the script or whatever, and it's just like you're kind of like, just get through this. I want to move on with the scene. But it was just funnier as it went, and I love how they kept going further and further back, which just added to it instead of just the exact same scene repeating over. Particularly the part where he's like, "Oh, and by the way, don't set it down because it will roll off the gangplank." I'm like, just the little bits that we were getting was just, it was really funny. It was clever.
Did we have the first time loop in the first Loki season? I was trying to rack my brain. Is that where he like meets the girl that like hates him or whatever? Am I thinking of that correctly, or am I not?
Lady Sif? Where they put him in the time loop prison?
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking that too, because I do think this whole episode was basically that. It was the time loop prison, but instead of Lady Sif, it was all of the TVA, and he was trapped in it for much longer.
Yes, obviously he had time to become a
1,000 years. Is that what they said?
Yeah. They said centuries.
Was it centuries? 100 centuries?
Wait, to learn the knowledge? Is that what you're talking about in that scene when you were supposed to like learn the knowledge, how to like make it himself? Yeah, they go centuries. It was going to take him a long time. I thought that was a little corny. I thought that was a little far stretch. I was like, centuries, really? Like, I thought that was a little much, but
he's a god. He can live that long.
But... See you soon.
I know, but still.
Dang, that should have been my name. See you soon. Fuck, I fucked that up.
See you soon. Opportunities.
See you soon.
See you soon in 84 years. You just have the second part.
Yeah, it's definitely longer than 84 years that he was replaying this Groundhog Day.
I mean, the dude had time to become a physical, theoretical. What did he become?
Theoretical physicist.
Theoretical physicist.
What you're going for?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to just switch them around. So yeah, that's a lot of time.
Physical theoreticist.
That's what I was trying to say. I was like, that doesn't sound right.
Brain.
Something seems wrong right now, and I don't know. I need someone to help me.
I love how Mobius was like, Casey, someone's coming for your job, because he was like really smart after all that time. I also love how Mobius was catching it like this time over and over.
All those little clips, like you said, they kept going back, and instead of just replaying the same scene again, they make him like a little bit more of a smartass each time they're going through. Like, yeah, it's not to scale. Don't worry about it. Just move on. Let's go.
He's done it like 2 billion times.
Wrote it. Yeah.
He showed extreme amount of patience doing that over and 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 over again. Like, as a parent, I don't know. I would just be like, all right, I'm giving up. Way to go, Kang. You did it. I'm out.
I thought Tom Hiddleston's acting was just phenomenal in that, like, just doing it that many times. It was so great. I thought at the very end when Timely did get it right, and he's like, we did it. Now hurry back for Timely to come back. I thought for sure Timely wasn't going to make it, and then Loki'd have to pick, do we do this all again, or we just leave him gone?
Yeah. Maybe it's better off with him as spaghetti. Yeah.
Yeah, right? It's like, but we got it right.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go through this another 2 billion times just so you can make it back.
That is funny. And I actually, I wonder what he would have done. I'm trying to think right now off the top of my head. Like, what if that did happen? Where like he didn't make it. So it's like, now Loki's got to decide, do we just, continue to do this over and over again to make sure Victor Timely makes it back? Or do we just say, fuck it? It'd be a fun little multiversal question right there.
It'd be more like, okay, let's see if it works. And if the machine starts working well, we know this plan's going to work, then maybe we'll consider going back to get it. But if it's not going to work, then I don't know.
Yeah. So at the end of that scene, when he does make it back, he takes off his helmet and he goes, pumpkins. I was like, what? Did he get brain damage or something after he ran across this thing? Apparently, pumpkins is like something they used to say back when whatever he's from.
That's like what I summed it up to.
Yeah, I know. I looked it up, and apparently that was the thing people would say as like an exclamation. Like, that was wild. That was weird. Pumpkins.
I remember hearing it on my first watch when I was actually watching it, and I was too busy like just focusing on the show to really like care about it. And then today when I was re-listening to the episode, I heard it and I was like, that's such a weird, maybe that's what they said back in the day. Like, they didn't have cuss words. They used pumpkin and squash. Like,
good afternoon.
Tomato, I don't know.
Gourds.
I like gourds.
That's a good one.
Oh my gourd. I like
Loki
that.
gourd of stories. There you go.
Oh my god.
We should start a hashtag. Yeah, Loki gourd of stories.
Gourd of
That'd
stories.
be funny. So after the funny scene of that, you start we kept with it a little bit when he went to talk back to the scene of fighting Sylvie, and then he remains, and it started to shift. The tone of it started to shift to get a little more serious than funny. How do you guys like seeing that we got He Remains back, but not just as flashbacks, but like presently kind of back, like new lines, new dialogue? What'd you guys think of the whole scene?
Loved it. Obviously, I mean, every time we've gotten Jonathan Majors playing a role so far, I think he's crushed it, and I think it was even as good as he did with He Who Remains in the first season. I think having this add-on was just that much better. Like, he's even more menacing because he's like, yeah, I had you in a trap. Why don't you talk to me again, the next 500 times you do it?
Yeah, what a cool idea. It was great to get Jonathan Majors back. I just want more. I want more Majors. I wanted him to be a real focal point of this episode, similarly to the end of season 1. I want everything to do with Jonathan Majors and his acting in the MCU. I'm done with these like teases. Like, that's kind of why I like episode 3 and 4 better, because we got a ton of new Jonathan Majors as Victor Timely, and he was the focal point of the episodes. It was great. So I mean, yeah, it was cool to see He Who Remains, especially getting like new lines and again, see you soon 100 times over, and it was interesting. I just want more. Maybe I'm being too critical. I shouldn't be too critical. I just wanted more.
I wouldn't say that's critical. The performance was good enough that you're complaining that you wanted more of the performance.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily critical.
Did you take offense to him going Timely told you that?
I don't think I even noticed it. I don't even think I even
he
noticed
definitely.
It's like, who'd you get?
Made
That's
fun of the
Victor.
stutter.
He's making fun of his stutter.
It's been too long since I've seen the episode. I forgot all about it.
There you go.
That sounds cool.
But it's funny. I don't know if it's funny, but it's weird, interesting to have a character playing himself, making fun of himself, playing a different character.
Inception.
Right? Like a Russian, Inception.
It
Russian
shows his
install.
range, though, which is fun.
Yeah. Which is why we love him, dude. His range is all over the place. I can't wait till we get Ramatut and all the other guys that we saw at the end of Ant-Man. That'll be really cool.
Right. But even He Who Remains seemed like a complicated character at the end of the first season, but you didn't realize how complicated, how powerful he really was until this episode, where you see that he's really like had Loki in a time prison, and he's already thought how many probabilities ahead and planned for him.
See, this is where the show started to get a little frustrating for me. I'll be honest, when I liked the episode, I still enjoyed all these scenes. I liked the end. Visually, I thought it was great. When I finished the episode, I was like livid. I was extremely frustrated. I was angry because I couldn't. I'm like a diehard Marvel fan, right? Like, we do this podcast, I talk about it, I think about it, I research it. I'm absorbed in this kind of stuff. And when I finished the episode, I had no idea what just happened. And like, that can be a good thing. Like, that happened last season, but this wasn't the good kind of like, oh, like, I'm excited to see what they're going to do more. I just had no idea what happened. So I didn't like understand what happened. And it started in this scene. There's a lot of little things that's like, I'm not understanding what's going on here. Him asking Loki, saying, how many times have we had this conversation? But at the same time, then he almost contradicts that, because he kind of came back and said, yeah, I've paved this road for you the whole time. I knew this was all going to happen, because Loki kind of got on the inside of his game. And then Loki pulls the trick and said, well, how many times do you think we've had this conversation? The whole scene, I was like, what's going on here? Does He Who Remains knows what's going on or not? I was starting to get confused how it all worked. And that was starting to get a little bit frustrating. I don't know if somebody could explain to me how that worked.
I can try. So He Who Remains had already laid out this deal where only somebody who's gone through this could even get to me at this level and know about these things. So when he's talking to him the first time, he knows they have no idea what the hell they're talking about. So it's
I
not
mean, for
until
season 1.
Yeah, in season 1. Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, that's what they're revisiting anyway. But that same scene, Loki says some different things. Why don't you fight back? And he's like,
Right.
oh, so you have seen me die already. So you already know this step happens. So I think that's kind of.
See, that's it right there. He said, oh, like you have seen me die before. How does he remains not remember those other times?
So the other times didn't happen yet. There were like contingencies. So like if you ran a computer program, what are the probabilities that this occurs, right? It'll run through every single one of them and it'll give you blah, 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 blah. So maybe that's what Miss Minutes is doing. Maybe she did that. And now he knows every possible outcome. Kind of like Doctor Strange going through the different time stone probabilities in the future. I think it's very similar to that, but a predicted computer version of the outcome. So all he had to worry about is whether or not they respond to him with him already dying, right? Which is what Loki does.
It's too much. It's too
It's
much.
just-
And that's how how Marvel loses fans. That's why Marvel's money is going down and down and down until they have to do so much like bring back every Spider-Man or every X-Men they have to bring these people because the plot that they've decided to go forward with over the next few phases is terrible. They're not describing it well. You're not doing a good job. You're leaving too many open ends. And for the casual fan, they're not interested. Sure, if you're a Marvel diehard, you're interested to like learn it and figure it out, and that makes it more fun. And I don't have a problem with it. But what I do have a problem with is then Marvel cutting shows and trying to like recap losses because of their own misfortune, their own misdoing. So they didn't handle the multiverse that well in this show. Now, again, what I said in the very beginning is in a few years after we've seen other projects, we will be able to go back to this season and be like, oh, now I get it. I understand it. But you will have lost thousands of fans because of this. Fans won't want to do that. So in my opinion, they're digging their grave quite fucking deep right now. And I hope they can come out of it.
So back to my explanation. It doesn't really matter what my explanation is because they leaned hard into this is science fiction, but it's not hard sci-fi, right? There's not like you don't need to know what's going on. It's soft science fiction, right? The difference between hard sci-fi and soft sci-fi is like maybe The Martian, where he's surviving on this planet. It's kind of unbelievable, but he's doing it through actual scientific things versus we're literally manipulating time and everything. And that's the entire season. They've been like saying things that are basically like directed at the fans. Like, stop thinking about it so hard. This is just for fun. It's just sci-fi. It's not hard science. So
sure, but you are opening up these portals and no one understands what's happening. Like not figuratively, but not literally, but figuratively. Like you're saying, hey, this isn't even that hard of stuff. Just follow along, have fun, enjoy the show. Well, half the show you don't understand because you don't understand this like the multiverse. You don't understand how things are going around, where the time loops are happening, who sees what, how it's all put there, what was imprinted. And again, it's going to take a lot of rewatches and more MCU shows, and it will end up being this really cool saga. I have full belief in that, but you're
losing like people along the way to do that.
And
that was my point. When I finished the episode, it's like, I don't need it spelled out for me in my handheld. I get that. And I'm a Marvel fan. I don't mind digging in to try to figure it out because I think it's fun. Right. But I shouldn't, as much as I'm immersed in thinking about this each week, how did I come into the final and be this freaking lost? There was already a ton of complaints about it already being complicated to follow this season. And for it to end and everywhere was like, oh my gosh, the ending was so emotional. Loki's sacrifice. I was like, what happened? what sacrifice? Like, is he dead? Is he stuck there? What exactly did he even do?
And then in season 1, it was very similar to the point where none of us, like, except for like the people who read the comic runs and stuff like that, we didn't know about the multiverse. We didn't know what would happen to TVA, what would happen if you went to a different, and right. But at the end of season 1, we all had a great idea. Okay, well, there's this thing called the TVA, and there is the Void, and you can get pruned, and this, and like there's at the end of all time is he who remains. It's not these 3 timekeepers. Like it was like still like a difficult show to get across to fans, but you did a great job at it, and you left fans.
There was like stepping stones to like help you anchor down on the different concepts.
And then
here, there just wasn't.
They were like, jump off the ladder and figure it out. And you're like, well, okay. And so now you're just grasping, trying not to get stuck in the weeds, trying not to drown, trying to know what the fuck is going on. So it's a good show. It's just, this was my point that I brought up in the very beginning of the show. It was like, the season just wasn't it. They didn't do a good job of it. And again, it could be great in a couple years, but I don't want that. I don't want a movie, The Eternals, to be great in 5 years after you finally get stuff that like makes it make sense. Just make it make sense while you watch it with a few Easter eggs that can make it even more fun upon rewatch in a couple years. Not, I don't know what the fuck is going on. I'm going to wait for a few more projects to come out. Then I'm going to go back and rewatch it, and I think I'll have a better understanding. That's just not that's not good business. It's not good business. It just isn't.
I would watch both seasons right now because I'm a big fan of sci-fi. So I think that was the whole thing of them doing the different shows. They're trying out different storytelling genres. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So WandaVision was really out there. It was like a mystery, but also they had like the different versions of TV throughout the decades.
That show was styled so uniquely. It worked, and I don't think you could repeat how well it worked. It was just like a one-off, like that was great formula.
And then you had Darcy in episode 5 be like, it looks like we're just watching a TV show. She must be manipulating minds to make a broadcasted TV show. Okay.
Darcy was like,
and you're just okay with that.
Yeah. Now I get it. Now I understand it though. I don't care. I'm not like, I wasn't mad at Loki for doing stuff that was super weird where I didn't think it was like realistic by any means or anything. I was just mad that they didn't explain stuff well enough. And they were like, well, we're not going to spoon feed you. Okay, well, I need something, dude. Like, we don't know what.
We need a utensil.
We need at least
the spaghetti.
Utensil. Yeah,
right. I need a utensil to eat the spaghetti. I'm like in between you guys. I'm not full on. I really did like the show. I would rewatch it again. I think being a little lost through the season, through the episodes, is fine with me. I wish the ending, what Loki did, the sacrifice, the choice, whatever he did there at the end, I needed someone to say something, like there needed to be another line, something to really say what he was actually doing. Because to be honest, and maybe it would have built up if we understood how Loki was able to do what he was doing. Like, what gave him the power to be able to do that? Like, what kind of magic? Loki hasn't shown much yet. What are you doing?
I'm trying to raise my hand. I know you can't tell with the Idrisil in the background.
Yeah,
but
giving me a high five.
But up to this point, we haven't seen Loki do anything like that. If we would have known that, if Wanda had done that, we've been like, oh, she's using like her power. It would have it kind of would have flowed better. But up to this point, well, there's nothing to say that Loki should have been able to do that. So I think that's added to the confusion.
But magic is just science that we don't understand yet. Right. So if you are a magician, if you can manipulate magic and you've now you understand quantum physics and all that shit that he learned over 1,000 years. Now he's going to be a pretty damn good magician / scientist. So I think that's without them throwing that quote in our face, which I'm really glad that they didn't do that. Like if they put that clip in there, it would have cheapened it. But that's
being able to put life into timelines for all of humanity. That's not magic. That's like, but what they've built so far on screen for Loki, it just, that doesn't line up with anything. It's like, what made that like happen? I think that was part of the confusion a little bit. The other question I had was, I was struggling to understand what his choices were. Like, to let the loom either break or to kill Sylvie or decide with Kang. You're trying to figure out, okay, wait, what were his options? What I didn't understand was he broke the loom, which made sense because that was the only thing that was going to break Kang's cycle, to break the loom. What I don't understand is why all the branches died. The loom wasn't there since the universe was like made. So Kang made the loom at one point. So why did all the branches die? He didn't make the branches in the first place, right?
Yeah.
So I
I don't
didn't
think that
understand why
was-
everything died.
I don't think that was all of existence. I think that was just like some timelines that he was able to section off. So when it exploded, it killed those timelines, and that's what Loki's got control over.
So, and Loki can't move. Loki's not allowed to move from that seat, from that
No, he's
throne,
crapping his pants right now for the rest of eternity.
because at the end of the
No, he's
show,
not. He's not eating or drinking anything.
all the internet was like the ultimate sacrifice.
He's
And I was
vaporizing.
like, what the fuck did he sacrifice? Wait a minute, I thought he was just
That's
sitting
my
on the throne.
question.
Like,
That's
so
my
what's the
question. I'm like,
sacrifice?
so he's just gonna like sit there forever? And my first thought was because then they show like this tree that it kind of like all the branches formed into like the tree of life, which kind of goes with, you know,
Sure.
like the backstory of like Loki and Asgard and all that kind of thing. Which I'm like, okay, is he in a cocoon? Like, what's going on here? It was beautifully done, I suppose, but I just have no idea really what happened. I don't get it. And more than, it's just science fiction, just accept it. Like, no, I actually don't understand what happened in the story. Like, did he sacrifice something? Like, is he stuck there? Like, I actually don't understand what happened. I don't feel anything for the scene. I have no idea what happened.
Boom. That what you just said is why this episode wasn't that great, in my opinion, was because you didn't have the emotion. And because you didn't know what the emotion you're supposed to have is. You don't know. Like, you're sitting there and like I got done watching it and was like, huh, cool. Like, all right, he saved the day. You know what I mean? Well done,
I
Loki.
think. Did he?
But then I
Because
go
the
on
King
and
War's still
Temporarily.
coming. So it's kind of like, wait, if the King War's still coming, wait, what did he save?
so
I was like,
Free will.
and so everyone
saved
said
free
he
will.
took the ultimate sacrifice to make sure that everyone has free will.
Yeah.
Well, I
Make
didn't
sure
know that when
that
I watched it, nor do I
mostly
really
his
understand what
friends
that is. What
could
is
have
the
their
ultimate sacrifice? Like Casey said, is he not allowed to move then? Like, as soon as he moves off of that throne, everything's just spaghettiing around like a
or
hose.
dies.
You know what I mean? Like, or dies. Like what?
Yeah.
It's just
Well, Sylvie does say he bought his time.
when he who remains is there, you kill him and you don't know, but they tell you like either shit's about to happen or nothing will happen. Let's see what happens. And Sylvie kills him, and he's like, "Oh, I'll see you soon." And then you're like, "Oh, well, either what's gonna happen is shit's going haywire, or she just saved everything." And we all knew by what was coming forward what the answer really was. Here, it's just crazy. I don't know. Ugh. I don't want to be so critical on this episode. I am.
Yeah, why are you so critical? Why
I
hate
don't
it so
know,
much?
because it wasn't
I
great.
don't hate this episode.
It wasn't
Loved
great.
it.
It wasn't a great episode. Like, it wasn't a great episode, and the season was a top 4 season out of 8 out of Marvel shows. Like, where would you rank this show? Better than Wanda? Better than Moon Knight?
Oh yeah, definitely better than Moon Knight.
Oh, Moon Knight was so good.
I
Like I
agree
said,
that Moon Knight was better than Loki season 2.
Well, you're both wrong. Sorry.
No.
I've seen all
Knight was
the
really good.
2 against 1, bro.
seen all the tree outcomes here, and this is better. Yeah. I've also read Secret Wars, which I don't think either one of you have done yet.
In the
So,
comics?
Yep.
I'm
So
hoping
do
to
your
get Marvel
research.
Unlimited soon, and then
There
I
you
want to read up. I wanted to
It's
do
awesome.
Secret Invasion run.
You could get it for just a month, and you could do Secret Wars, Agents of Loki,
That's what I was planning on, yeah.
Siege. Yeah, just there's so many of them that are on there for free if you have Amazon already. Yeah, totally worth it.
Wait,
Diet Coke and
what do
Time
you mean
runs
if you
out.
have Amazon? What do you mean if you have Amazon already?
I think you have to have Amazon to
get Marvel Unlimited?
No, I think she's talking about something different. You're talking about like reading it on Amazon, where you can have Amazon and get a 30-day free trial. Or you can
Amazon and Kindle are like the same thing, right?
But
So
Marvel
Kindle,
Unlimited is like its own website that has all the comics on it that you like can go read.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it's Kindle Unlimited that I'm talking about, but
Oh,
I think it's the same thing. So if you have Amazon,
No, Marvel Unlimited has all comics online. So if you pay like the 1 monthly fee or whatever, then you can read any and all the comics online.
Oh, okay. Well, before you do
Yeah.
that, do the free trial of the
exactly.
I might do. I like saving money.
Who
Gives
doesn't?
you
You just have to
a
remember
month.
to cancel it, or next thing you know, you're spending $50.
I just got caught in something like that. I just did a free trial for something to get a football game, and then like I went back and went, oh shit.
Wait, what was it? What streaming service was it?
I had to get Paramount Plus that week to get the
Well,
game.
if you still got it, I might have to use your account because I think they got some good shit going on there.
But then I went to cancel it, and then they're like, you know what? We don't want you to cancel. We'll give you 2 months free. And I'm like, so now I got it till February. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe it wasn't that bad.
Set an alarm clock.
You better set.
I already wrote it on the calendar in big letters.
They're gonna be like,
cancel.
surprise! Here's a $90 fee.
I just did this with Stars. I just got a free subscription for Stars so I could watch No Way Home while I built the No Way Home Lego set, and then the next day I went and just canceled it. I was like, I'm not waiting. I was like, there's some other good movies here. Maybe I'll try to watch a movie tonight. And I was like, no, Nick, cancel it. Like, get it out of here.
Most of them you
I've
can
been
still
in
watch.
Horrible ruts before with that stuff.
Some of them you can still watch because they're like your subscription ends.
The monthly ones usually you can finish out the months. Yeah. If it's like a week free trial, usually it cancels like then or something.
I'm pretty sure you can do this Comixology thing. So
definitely read up on it. Yeah. And maybe by reading the comics more, I'll especially like the God of Stories for Loki part.
That's
maybe this would help some of this make more sense.
Yeah. I've noticed that reading the comics has made me more pissed off when watching Marvel because they don't follow the fucking awesome comic runs they have, i.e. Secret Invasion.
That's how we feel about book to movie adaptations. You're like, you're leaving out the parts that tell the story. How do people who just watch the movies follow this? Because this wouldn't make any sense unless you know about it from the book.
It's a good thing I don't read books, but I do read comic books.
I've just started reading more books. And then watching the movie adaptations, and I'm starting to understand the rage people have been experiencing.
But also, you've been watching Earth's Mightiest Heroes, right? I mean, that's some
I have
pretty good storylines.
I seriously claim everybody should watch that. Yeah. It's really fun. I joked on our our texting group. I said, like, the Earth's Mightiest Heroes, it's probably targeted more for younger kids, right? But the idea, I'm like, they are going through the comics, they're going through all these stories, they're doing it faster, quicker, and way better than the MCU has done all this time. And it's like, this is for kids, guys, and I'm enjoying this, like, in my mid-20s. Like, I really enjoyed the show. They did Secret Invasion, and like, for the most part, it was 3 episodes, though it was sprinkled in other places. But like 3 episodes, nailed it, had the Avengers all in it, and it was like, now I'm pissed from the live action that we got.
Huge letdown. Yeah. But no, I mean, but even those are an adaptation of the comics. Like those aren't word for word, scene by scene. They take some freedoms with those, but I do think they did a really good job with a lot of those. So I feel like Marvel now owns both of those. Why don't they use some of those storylines, specifically the Secret Invasion one? Like if they would have just taken what they made from Earth's Mightiest Heroes, Secret Invasion, and put that in live action, so much better than what they. It was really cool.
The reason Secret Invasion was so cool is because you had all the Avengers affected for it, and the reason the Secret Invasion show was not cool because the only fucking Avenger that you had there was fucking Armor Wars guy. I can't remember his name right now.
Rhodey.
Sounds like a fucking beer in the car, dude. Get out of here, dude.
Steering back toward the Loki episode before we get too off track.
Right.
I think what would have added emotion to the end, honestly, could you imagine if when Loki was trying to like destroy the loom or whatever, if he was struggling to do it and then Sylvie was there and they had to do it together? That would have been monumental for her character development to give up what she wanted to give it to everybody else.
They did Sylvie dirty in this season, dude. They did her dirty.
Her last line of her and Mobius just standing there watching Mobius's house. It's weird that Loki isn't here. Where are you gonna go? I don't know. And it's just like the rage I was feeling. I was like, I feel like what was that?
She said when he locked them out and he went out on the platform, she did say he gave us more time. So I think that's going to play into the whole time runs out. They're going to do the multiverse thing, but Loki doing that sacrifice.
He's giving us a chance.
Yeah.
Isn't that what you said?
He opened up free will, so now we have a chance to do things. Instead of whatever Kang wanted, now we can do what's supposed to happen naturally.
Loki went and talked to her right before he came back and did what he did. She had to remember that conversation for that scene to make any sense. Because if she hadn't had the idea about that conversation that Loki and her had just had, that line actually doesn't make much sense coming from her. Because she wouldn't have known that.
Because the thing explodes and then she goes back on the timeline. So those two Sylvies, wouldn't have been the same person.
So is it just
but they had to. But when I know, but it had to.
I think her seeing Loki sacrifice himself.
But
I mean, that's her, right? She is also Loki. So she's seeing a version of herself sacrifice.
But that line of he's given us a chance, they thought they were fixing the loom that would save all the branches. That was the knowledge they all had. Him going out there to do whatever. Why would that give them a chance of destroying it? Like, there's so much that doesn't make any sense there if she didn't have the knowledge of that conversation, which she might have, because she seems more aware of a lot of the different things than any of the other characters, even though she wasn't time slipping. So it's possible that she was aware. But to me, that line doesn't make any sense if she didn't remember that conversation.
Did she touch him at all during that scene? Because all she's got to do is touch someone and know their memories, right?
That could be our headcanon.
That'd be really cool if you go back and watch it and she just like taps him on the shoulder or something before he goes out. She'd be aware of all the thousands of years that he's been around learning fucking quantum physics, becoming super magician. Super David Blaine.
Super David Blaine. Super David Copperfield. Boy. I don't know. I'm gonna pass. I don't want to keep talking negative about this show, and I was just about to like get into
stop it. Stop talking negative about it.
If I don't have anything nice to say, I won't say anything. That's okay.
I'm gonna make this really clear. A lot of people might hear this and be like, you guys are just shitting on the show. I can love something to absolute pieces and still rip it to shreds and still love every second of it. I still love this property. I still love the characters, the way the story is moving, but I can also you can be critical because you love something so much and like tear it apart and analyze it. And to me, film is a type of art. It's not just a show I'm watching. I think about everything that goes into it, from the sound people to the design people to the camera people. I've seen kind of behind the scenes of how like a film gets put together. So I see it from like both sides sometimes when I'm watching it. And so I can be very critical, but I still liked the season. I still like the show. I just wish I understood, especially Loki's sacrifice, I think is really what roots it down to me, of the frustration. I didn't understand what the sacrifice was.
And I think we got really lucky with the actors and actresses that we got. Well, I guess it's just actors now. There's no actresses.
Just actors.
Yep, my bad. Anyways, I think we got really lucky with the actors that we got on this show. Like, they were all fucking awesome. Tom Hiddleston was amazing, right? The guy who played Obi, awesome. Jonathan Majors was great. Sylvie did as much as she could in the script that they wrote for her.
Yeah, she didn't have a great role this season. She didn't have a great role this season.
Is it weird that she's just a Loki? Like, is it weird that she's a Loki? I wish we would have just never really fucking did that.
Yeah, I think she should have just been Enchantress, or Lady Loki is fun, but Enchantress is
the only thing I'm okay with is if we get a comedic relief of Loki trying to explain to Thor that she's a Loki and her brother / sister. Like, that would be pretty
cool. God. Well, he's sitting there holding the trees.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, that's your sister. That's your sister.
Yes, that's some comedic relief I can be okay with. Outside of that, there was no reason Sylvie had to be a Loki or be Loki. Like, that's and to a point where they just didn't even mention it once in season 2. Like, they didn't be like, remember, like, if someone say like, you are a Loki or something like that. At least not that I can remember. So it's like they're even like, we're just gonna kind of go away from that idea.
After watching Earth's Mightiest Heroes, actually her being the Enchantress would have been really fun. It would have made sense and it could have worked.
Yeah.
Yeah, she has
She
her own
kind
little
of
plots and traps Thor for a bit, and
She was the Marvel stepping stone introduction for all the casuals of what a variant could be. A variant doesn't have to look and be the exact same person. A variant can be a completely different gender. It can be completely different, you know. And I think that's why they did it. And it could be an alligator, it could be a frog, it could be anything, right? And I think that's why they did it, because before the first season of Loki, I don't think if you brought up variants to people, they would really understand that. I just don't think that a lot of people would, at least I know myself, I wouldn't. It took me a long time. Even still today, I struggle with like a variant and the actuality of that. But now that we're long past that and we're in season 2, we're ended season 2, like, I wish he wasn't a Loki. That's fucking weird. She could have just been enchanted, and they could have had this love connection that wasn't really weird. It wasn't just the Loki
cool.
the Loki. Like that would be really cool. So I don't know. Just talking about Sylvie. I wanted to get that off my chest.
What do you guys think of Loki's new God of Stories attire? The new horns, and like he has like a shawl type, like
the horns
drape,
look
and
badass.
Slippers.
They did.
Loafers. Some
those
nice,
loafers?
comfy leather loafers. Those look like you could just drive around Britain for forever in those bad boys. They're literally like nice leather racing shoes, is I think what they call them, racing shoes. They look so
I thought
fucking
slippers was a
comfortable.
little weird. Not gonna
They're
lie.
definitely not what you would use to climb stairs.
Was that the old
stairs, right?
Citadel? Was that like where He Remains was? Because that's what some people were saying. It was just like the wreckage left of the Citadel. Did you guys think that's what it was when you saw it? Because I kind of thought that. I kind of didn't. Actually, when he was walking up the stairs, I was like, is he stepping like out into the multiverse? Or like where? And then it just was nothing. So I wasn't sure.
I think he was making those steps as he was going along. Right? Like he's creating the steps, and then the throne he creates himself. I don't think it was actually the Citadel. I think it's him creating his own mini Citadel.
Where do you guys think he is? Is he still outside of time, or is he like between multiverses? Or because he kind of looked like he went purposely somewhere.
He's in the middle of the TVA, the heart of the TVA, which is apparently in the middle of a black hole or something.
Fair.
No, really, because time behaves differently in the TVA, but it still moves forward. So I think that's in the middle of like a black hole, because the more gravitational pull you have on time, the slower time ticks. It's like a real science thing. So if you have a wristwatch on you and you have a wristwatch that you go put next to a giant object like the pyramid and you let them go for a couple years, the wristwatch next to the pyramid is going to tick slower over the one that you're wearing on you.
Interesting.
There's a big gravitational object manipulating it. Yeah.
Interstellar.
Real thing. Interstellar.
Speaking of pyramid, that was at the end of the episode with Ravonna. So do you guys think that she was in the void? I actually didn't think she was in the void, because I thought, since we saw the pyramid, I thought maybe she went back to her original place where she could have been pulled from time. Maybe then she was a princess in Egypt, and I thought, I'm like, oh, that could like actually all tie together, like really cool. And then everyone and the producers and certain people are saying no, she's in the void. But I didn't know if you guys assumed that or if you thought
Ramatut.
The colors still look like the void, and they even had like the grass pull up from the TVA, which I think was interesting. So, did the TVA get pruned? Does it get pruned? I think that was pretty interesting. You don't remember that? The grass peels up, and it's that same hourglass shape that you see.
Yeah.
That Loki, the thing drops down on it and fractures it.
That's all. Just she's not going nowhere. It's all Kang just trying to make sure she survives. That'll be a story throughout. He wants Ravonna Renslayer, and
but that's a good through line to like tie in. I think. I don't think that's a bad. They left it there that they could do something with it, and it didn't feel wrong or out of place. I thought it just
You
seemed
see her
a bit
eyes like
wasted.
light up, like you think it's Goliath coming forward, but realistically, I bet you it's gonna be Kang or Ramatut, and he's gonna be like, "You're my lady," and she's gonna be like, "All right."
Purple glow with green grass in the background. So yeah, you're right. Could be a Kang.
Yeah, definitely.
Doesn't
There's
have
no
to be an
thinking
Goliath.
about it. I guarantee it's a Kang. Guarantee it
Huh?
right this second. Guaranteed.
That's
Guaranteed.
what I thought.
And he's gonna go, "Hello, my lady.
Yep. Come, my lady. Come, my
Upon
lady. You're my
my
sugar
time
lady.
speed."
Pretty mama. Something like that. I don't know what he says.
Did anybody? Somebody on another podcast made fun of this. They go when Mobius was just standing at his house at the end, and Sylvie leaves him. He's just standing there watching like himself with the kids. It's like, could Mobius have a dark side here? Could he go and just get rid of the Mobius there so that we can go live with his kids? Pull a Wanda, like she tried to do with her kids. But
What?
it was,
I don't think he wants back in that world, to be honest. Those kids look fucking terrible. Well,
they
one of
look
the
like a
kids.
handful.
Yeah, that's what I said.
They'll be out of his house
Terrible.
in 4 years anyway. They look like they're in like almost in high school.
4 years? Oh God, I think I'd rather go to prison for 4
What?
years.
Those
feed
kids
you
look
in
like they
prison.
were like. The kids look like they were probably between the ages of like 8 and maybe the older one looked like
I thought the older
13.
one looked like he. Well, I guess I was talking about the older one too, but yeah, like 14. So I guess he'll be out of it in like 4 years. He looked like he was like getting into high school, about to be in high school.
I don't know. I can't tell kids.
Casey, have you seen the Marvels yet or no?
No,
Okay, never mind.
think I'm gonna go see it tomorrow night.
You should. You should, but I will stop what I was about to say until you watch that.
No spoilers,
Just
because
your
some people
horse
might
mouth.
have
Oh,
not
you're
seen it
like
either.
2 weeks late. No, no spoilers last
Actually-
7 days. That last 7 days.
No spoilers on all Loki finals like conversational podcast. What I was gonna say was it's kind of weird. Last year, on the week of Thanksgiving, on Tuesday, my family and we went and saw Wakanda Forever. And if I go see the Marvels tomorrow, I would be seeing a Marvel movie the exact same like day as I did last year.
Did
I
I
was like,
not
look at
post that in
that.
our group chat? I did the same thing. I thought I posted in our group chat, but maybe I didn't. I was going to see the movie and looked at my Facebook memories, and it was me, Jay, and my mother-in-law like going to see Wakanda Forever. And I was like, oh shit! A year later to the day, I'm going to see the Marvels. Like
That makes two of us.
That is hilarious. I love
It's
that.
weird.
That's weird.
That also means it's going to be like really packed because it's Thanksgiving week and schools are out, college is out, families are visiting, so the theater's always really full. So for me, I'm like, I already know it's going to be like I'm 2 weeks like after the opening date, but it's still going to be like really busy because all the families coming.
I don't think
Not according to reports.
I don't think any theater that shows the Marvels is very packed. Whether it was opening
On
day or
Thanksgiving, when all the
series.
kids are home and families and cousins are all in, people just go to the theaters and see anything.
I mean, I get you.
Especially since this seems to be more of a funny movie. I'm sure a lot more families would
Totally
go.
worth going to watch it. Go
Trolls
watch it.
3 just
tomorrow.
dropped. I bet that's where a lot of families are going to see. Honestly.
What just
Trolls
dropped?
3?
Trolls 3.
No, I saw commercials for that, and I was thinking the first one I don't think we needed. The second one came out. I'm thinking this is gonna be like another Kung Fu Panda Ice Age, where they're just gonna keep making them. And I'm like, you should stopped after the second one.
Yeah, but this is like NSYNC's big comeback or whatever. They like I think all of NSYNC have a role in this movie, and they're like dropping their first album, their first hit in whatever years, so they're going on tour for first time in however long.
Oh,
Just if any NSYNC fans are listening to this show, there's a little
Why is NSYNC making a comeback? Are they all broke?
retro. Nah, retro's in. You know how things cycle every 20 years. It's been 20 years since NSYNC.
tie-dye, toe socks, everything makes a turn.
Britney Spears just came out with her memoir. She's all backing at it right now. So that makes JT back up and running. That's just things like that.
You're getting people's hopes up for One Direction if you keep that talk up.
I mean, One Direction will be back in 20 years after they quit. I don't know when they started or when they quit, but in 20 years they'll be back. Everyone does it. Everything does it. Blink-182, Green Day, like everything movies. It's a 20-year period. Like things are cool, then they're not cool 10 years later, then they're really cool again 20 years later. That's just how life works.
Backstreet Boys are better than NSYNC.
Well, I agreed 100%. I mean, don't get me wrong. You know what I mean? Agreed.
But our fans aren't here for our opinions on.
But we got Backstreet Boys reunion in the end of This Is the End, which is a great ending to that movie. No, neither of you guys know what I'm talking about. But
No, I don't. I was like, I'm not gonna comment.
Hold on, Joel, you've never seen This Is the End?
I've seen it. I don't remember it. I don't think it was that funny of a movie. There's like parts of it that are funny. Man, I don't.
Wow. Yeah. Joel, you were a lot cooler before.
I'm a critic, man. I'm a critic.
You're a critic. Oh, and he left.
No, I took him out because he was what he said.
Oh. Some of those Seth Rogen movies, I just don't think they're that funny.
See, Nick can tear apart the Loki today, but since he's in charge of the podcasting platform, he can choose who stays on and off the cast.
Very true. Very true. They call me
Loki. I bet you like Sausage Party too.
Actually, I didn't find that movie that funny. I wanted it to be really funny, and it wasn't.
Cut him off. Nope, cut him off.
Have you seen the movie Strays?
Not yet.
Me neither. But I'm worried that's going to be like Sausage Party, and I'm just not excited for it. So I haven't watched it.
I think it'll be funny once to watch.
Yeah, sure. That's how Sausage Party was. Like, it was funny the first time, but I'll never watch it again. This is the end. It's great upon rewatch. Casey, anyways, keep us going. We're getting off track, and we're like almost to an hour on the show. We got to end this shit.
Do you guys have any last minute thoughts on the Loki finale, or even, I mean, Nick, we kind of tore it apart, but I'm sure there's parts you liked about it beside maybe the funniness in the beginning. Was there any particular lines or character moments that stood out to you, especially rounding up the season?
I really am curious on Mobius, how he definitely understood by the end of it that like this was on a repeat, and he was like, and we brought it. I believe you brought it up earlier in the show. He was just like this time, and he was catching up on it. I think that's going to play a part later on. The show itself, I don't know. The show overall was a really good show. The last episode did not do itself justice, but I'm very excited, like I said at the very beginning, of how this is going to slingshot the MCU, because it will, and it will be really cool to rewatch the show in a couple years. It'll be really, really, really cool. So that's what I got to say.
Do you guys like the Quantumania mention that we got?
The adjacent realm.
616
so
adjacent.
Is it called a quantum realm, or is it really just an adjacent realm? What is it? What did you say? You say it. Somebody else say it.
Adjacent realm.
So which one is it actually called? Who's wrong? Does Mobius not know what it's called, or does Hank not know what it's called?
I'm gonna guess Hank.
Doesn't matter.
No, we just
same thing as like
Hank.
labeling it from one way or the other. Like, yeah, I think it's all the same thing. I agree. I think the quantum realm is also an adjacent realm for your points. I know that's what you're bringing this up for.
Oh, I did. I got the point.
Yeah.
I found out.
Yeah.
But it was already added, so it's still going to be a 4-point difference.
Damn, I am chasing both of you guys, and I'm pissed about it. I need What If to help me out somehow. I don't think it will.
Maybe study harder next year.
I will. Well, I didn't even study at all this year. I didn't
study harder. Marvel
got 30 minutes late to our draft because I kind of had forgotten.
That's true. We almost cut you out. That's true.
Well, you probably should have.
I'm gonna go on record as the one he was holding out for you, Nick. I was like, I think we should give him a little bit more time.
Yeah,
I was like, we should just auto draft for him.
I would have never joined if Casey didn't call me. I just like looked down and was like, who the fuck is Casey Ellerbrook? And why are they Facebook calling me right now? I've never heard of this person in my life. And I picked it up, and you were like, "Hey, is this Nick? We're doing a draft." Oh shit! Yeah, fuck! God damn it! Hold on. And I ran in, and then I drafted a piss poor team.
For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, we're gonna end this episode on a little bit of information on this. We did this last year, a Marvel fantasy draft. It's like fantasy football, but we do it with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So all different properties and movies that come out, you get points for different characters showing up. Sometimes you got penalty points, you got death points, power points, whatever. So this next following year, we're going to be doing it again. We're going to do it live here on the podcast. We're going to do our draft live so you guys can hear us doing it. The registration's already closed this year, but if you like it, you can play it. You can listen to our draft. You guys could do it off screen yourselves, and then you could join us next year. It's a lot of fun, and we'll be doing updates throughout the year. And Nick, that is not your trophy.
That is our Marvel Fantasy Trophy that I'm going to retain this year after I win with my last minute What If. That's right. So maybe you could take
Nick's losing in our league, just for everyone to know as of right now. Nick's failing behind.
I had a horrible.
Not by a ton.
No, not by a ton. I really did do okay with my late round picks. I'm glad I got Kamala Khan's brother. He had shit. See, damn it, Casey.
I already knew he was in there. I already knew he was in the cast.
Okay, well that's true. We all knew he was gonna be. Okay. But I made a mistake drafting Matt Murdock, and that burned me. I thought Echo would be this year, and I thought
and Wong.
Role. Well, Wong was kind of like a Hail Mary. It was like my 7th pick.
Well, between him and Matt Murdock, you were like, yeah, I'll just get these guys who keep popping up in every single thing.
I think my Adam Warlock one was more of a terrible pick as opposed to Wong. Like Wong at least had a chance. Warlock,
but you knew Adam Warlock was showing up in something.
Yeah, but I also knew he was going to be a villain, and I was like, no, he's not going to be a villain. And I was like, well, no, that was dumb. He really was a villain.
Well, I got pissed because my Hail Hydra I picked this year, Ironheart was supposed to drop this year. It didn't. It's scheduled to be on the release now with the updated schedule to drop this next summer here. And I'm like, but my Hail Hydra was in that, and so now it's on the roster, and I can't pick it for my Hail Hydra. And I was like, but it was a sure thing.
Yeah, was the 2024 roster set up yet?
Yep.
The roster is just dropped.
Teaser,
I was about to email it to you guys.
Oh,
So we can look what's over on the roster.
On Friday, and it hadn't dropped yet. All right. Preparation H, here we come. Wait, no, what? Never mind.
Plan Preparation H.
It feels good on the whole.
Well, unless you guys have any last minute thoughts, I think that'll wrap up this week's Loki talk and a little bit of draft information. Look excited for that coming out in the next couple weeks. So next week we're gonna be talking about the Marvels when I finally see it, because I'm a loser and I didn't go see it because life. So we'll be jumping on that and critically, lovingly, probably tear it apart and love on it all at the same time.
I don't have much critiques for it.
Oh, look at that! It's gonna be a happier episode, guys.
Should be quite, at least from me, from this cubicle, we're gonna have a happy show. I don't know what's going on down there.
I'm not gonna tell you.
Bum bum bum.
Ooh, mystery. Okay, see you guys next time.
Peace.
Later, fishes.